Okay, so yeah, so we're recording now and people are just joining us, but welcome to the IAPPC Roadmap 2023. And I'm Julia Stewart. And because people are still joining us, I think I'll just ask you a few questions and maybe some of you will want to respond. So here's the classic one. Where are you? So where are you located? And you can answer in the chat box if you want, or you can answer out loud. Hi, Jackie, welcome. Let's see, and I think Madison is here, and yeah, so I'm just asking folks a few questions so you all kind of start getting to know each other a little bit. And yeah, so where are you? Ben's in Dallas. I'm in St. Louis.
I'm in Denver.
You're in Denver. Awesome.
Yeah.
And anybody else? I know Madison's also in Texas. Let's see.
I'm in Texas.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody.
Hello from Malaysia.
Ooh.
Fabulous. Welcome from Malaysia. And yeah, I'm still letting people in here. Okay, so I have all these questions and how long have you been coaching? So when I started the certification process, I asked a lot of questions of people, and thanks to everybody who filled all of that out. And the answers were extremely wide-ranging, from never coached before to coaching for 20 years. So I'm just kind of curious if you're willing to tell us how long you've been coaching. And I'd also like to ask, what attracted you to positive psychology coaching? So let's see. You can put it in the chat, and I am looking for the chat. So yeah, so Bethany says she's in Boise, and Stephanie's been coaching since 2019. Yeah, y'all can speak up if you like.
Okay.
Celine is here. Welcome, Celine from USA.
And the Philippines.
And the Philippines. Yeah, so Celine just moved to the USA, I think last week, from the Philippines.
Whoa.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's a huge move.
You're welcome.
Hope you love it. Yeah, so oh, here's a question. Have you been on the IAPPC network yet? So we've got a healthy group of people who've been there and a bunch of people who have not. And if you don't want to get on it, that's okay. But I'm just curious about the people here, if you are on it or not.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen you on it, and I know Madison is on it, and I believe Sunil and Anna are on it. So yeah, so I'm going to ask you some questions later, and I hope you'll give some frank answers. If you're on the platform, what do you like most about it? And if there's something you'd like to change, what would you like to change?
Gonna pull it up and see.
What do I like about this?
I like that it's all in one place.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's you know, I used to live in New York City, and there was a joke about New York because there's always like scaffolding and stuff on it. And the joke is, it'll be a great city if they ever finish it. And so I wouldn't say that IAPPC will exactly be like that, but it is still a work in progress. So what you like, we can keep and perhaps enhance, and if things aren't working, we can make changes. So here's a question. Do you have your CPPC yet? So your Certified Positive Psychology Coach credential. And I know some of our members don't have plans to ever get it, which is okay. And I know that we have a few people here who have it. So Anna got hers in October. Celine got hers a week or two ago. And I think Renelle and Jane are planning on being here. I don't know if they're here yet, but they've gotten certified. So yeah. And do you plan to apply while it's still free? Because if so, you have 4 more weeks to do that. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. And yeah, so is there anybody who wants to say something out loud?
I have a question.
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I don't know if you
Go
can
ahead,
see
Bethany.
the hand.
I can see your hand. I
Okay.
wasn't noticing it, but thanks for
Gotcha.
speaking up.
I said that because now I see someone else has her hand up too. So I just wanted you to know when I'm done talking. So I really want to do that. And I kind of jumped on it. I took the exam and I got ready to go. And then the
Great.
email said, you can't coach another coach for this recording.
Mm.
And I do lots of coaching at Better Up, which I can't record.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all of this peer coaching through the Reciprocoach program, which I can record, but they're all other coaches. And I just really don't have clients outside of Better Up right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how I could complete it because I really want to, but I'm kind of stuck there.
Yeah, I knew that that would be a sticking point for people, and that there is an actual reason for it. It's partly because we're also getting information from your client, and we don't want your client to be gaming the system. So,
Gotcha.
So coach people who aren't coaches yet, and they don't have to be paying clients. You could coach a friend or a friend of a friend, that sort of thing. And I know that it may not be ideal for you, but give it a go. We actually give you 2 chances. So once your application is accepted, and yours already has been, you still have until June 30th to complete the whole thing. So if you need more than 1 session, you can do it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for asking
I
that.
posted on a Facebook group I belong to, whoever wanted coaching, and that's how I got my coach recording.
Very smart.
Thank you. Good suggestion.
Yeah, great suggestion. So Maria, go ahead.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you. Super happy to be here. I'm calling in from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And how I came across, how I joined was because Dr. Winnie Dunn, who's an occupational therapist, is like my OT idol. I'm an occupational therapist myself. And I really love to like champion like strengths-based approaches, but 10 years ago now, I graduated with a double major in psychology and sociology back in the day. And a positive psychology course was one of the courses I took in my final year. And it just like, I was like, oh, this is it. You know, it just really like clicked so intuitively. I think it's intuitive for all of us in the sense that it's really like a coming home to yourself, a reconnecting with like joy, pleasure, purpose. It's great. So I just like really admire Winnie Dunn and have noticed this as part of like, you know, memberships that she's in. And I saw that it was really aligned for myself and how I want to develop. And I just wanted to check in because I know I applied for the certification, but I don't know if I was like missing emails or knowing what that next step was, or if I have an application that's live or not. And I was like, this will be this is the Zoom to come to like follow back up on that.
Very smart.
So thank you.
Yeah. So do you know if you finished the application? It's 4 pages long, so I understand some people did not finish it.
I think I did, but I mean, I can always like go. I mean, it feels like a whole other chapter ago. I know it's only a few months ago, but like, you know, it might even be worthy for me to apply again just because I feel like I've accelerated in different forums and I've been doing more of my own kind of private practice and stuff. So maybe if that's the easiest way to go about it, because I'm like, I'm not sure what kind of came from that.
Yeah. It's pretty flexible right now because we're learning from you. So
cool.
Yeah. And thanks for the shout out for Winnie also. She's a member of our board and she is a real rock star, and she's initiating something that I'll tell you all about in a few minutes that I think is pretty cool. So yay. Cool. All right.
Okay. So apply again.
Apply again. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me make sure I've let everybody in. Looks like everybody's in. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to stop sharing myself. And you guys can be on mute or not be on mute, whatever you like. If we get a lot of noise from you, I might put you on mute, but otherwise it's up to you.
Julia, we have another hand raised.
Yeah, Ben,
Oh,
did you have a question?
Thank you. Go ahead. Is that Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I
Ben,
could
go ahead.
go back to the unmute button. I saw on the website that the certification process was free in 2022. Delighted to hear that it still is. But will 4 weeks be enough to get in an application if I'm just now starting?
Yeah, so there's actually, it's a two-step process. And so the application that you need to get in by February 28th is the step one application, and it asks a lot of information. So it could take you a minute to fill it out, but you don't have to have everything ready. But you do have to finish it. If it's not finished, you miss the deadline. And yeah, so we've extended it for members, and you can join through the IAPPC network platform. There's a link there. Just look for Get Certified, and the link is up at the top of the page. And so go ahead and do it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So once the I'm sorry,
okay, go ahead.
the application is submitted, how what's the timeline on hearing back?
It varies depending on how many people are also applying, and but you know, you should be able to, there are several steps along the way, and each time you do something, it could take a couple of days, maybe a week for you to hear back, but we try to keep up with it. And gee, what's the fastest anybody's done it? I think the fastest somebody did it actually was about 4 months. So you want to make it a priority if you're going to do it in 4 months. Did I answer your question?
Yes. How will I know? Am I receiving an email if I'm approved to move forward?
Yes.
Have to be, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And you'll be told what to do next.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Anybody else have a question before I get into the slides? All right. Well, cool. And let's get the slideshow going here. Okay, so I am going to minimize this if I can, so I can see. All right, so yeah. So this is the IAPPC roadmap, and I'm going to be looking at my notes sometimes. So basically, here's what we're looking at. So we'll talk about where we are right now and what we've done so far. We've already talked a little bit about that. And things that are coming up within the next 6 months, and what's in the work for 6 to 12 months from now. And then also, what do you want? If there's something like you really wish that a coaching association would do something, I don't know if we can do it, but I'm real curious to hear what it is. So that would be great to know about. And I want you all to know that this stuff is not carved in stone yet. If you've been with this organization for a while, you know, we sometimes fall behind, but we're really focused on it now. So I think this is gonna keep going at a pretty good clip. So some things about where we are so far. I think we've already talked a little bit about certified positive psychology coach, and really excited about the people who have completed it. And if you haven't gotten your certificate yet, they have been made, so you should be getting them within the next day. So that'll be fun when that happens also. And then I'll also talk about free coach training and where we are with that, and the special interest groups that we have so far. And so yeah, so here we go. I would love to certify 100 coaches for free. I think that's really ambitious at the point where we are, but 139 people initiated the application, and we really didn't have any requirements at the beginning. So you could be a brand new coach who didn't know anything yet, and you could apply, and it would just be a matter of whether you could pass the test, etc. And the reason for that was just to find out what really works with this type of coaching. Do people need a lot of training? And we got some information about that. Do they need a lot of experience? Do they need to have their own coach? So the number one reason that people didn't pass was that they never finished the initial application. So more than half never finished the application. So and that's, I'm not saying that with judgment. It was a big application. I'm saying it because that's the number one reason. So if you're wondering if you can pass, yeah, give it a try. Maybe you can. All you got to do is keep taking the next step. So, and then let's see. I'm looking for my my numbers. I don't see the number for the number of people who actually took the test. Darn, I didn't write that down. Anyway, I can tell you that approximately half passed the test on the first try. A much smaller number took the second version of the test, and about half passed that one. So a little more than half passed the first step. The second step, so far, only 11 people have applied and 4 people have completed it. So some things that I noticed along the way was that most people actually have a fair amount of coach training, and I was really impressed with that. I put 3 slots for coach training schools. Like if you went to 3 places, you could list them all, and a lot of people listed 3 or more. They weren't necessarily approved or accredited by anybody, or maybe it's better to say they were approved or accredited by different organizations. Some of them were universities. Some of them were ICF or IAPPC accredited, but some of them weren't. And it didn't seem to make any difference as far as whether people passed or not. Something that did seem to make a difference was that a lot of people had little or no positive psychology training, and most of those people didn't pass the test. A few did, and I'm assuming they're super well read. And, you know, that's training in a sense also. My personal bias is it's more important that you can pass than that you went to a particular school. And so that is fine, but that also kind of influenced which course I put up first for the free coach training. And it says their requirements will tighten up as we get more data. Yeah, there will be requirements. It's not like this is going to be a free-for-all forever, but until we get our own data, we don't want to assume anything. You know, when coach certifications first started in the 90s and early 2000s, there was very little research, and so coaches were just making their best guess, which a lot of times is correct. It just isn't always. So sometimes things that coaches have been doing forever turn out to not be a great idea, and at least as far as research goes. And my personal bias, like I try to say that this is science informed. It's not 100% science, because our intuition, our experience, our empathy, all of that helps us to coach. If we only went by data, I don't think we'd be very good coaches at all. So I don't think we'll ever be evidence-based, which is what something is if it's completely science, completely guided by science. So yeah, so let's keep going, because I want to make sure we can get through all of this and that you can get a chance to talk again. Yeah, free coach training, it is up on the platform. The first course is up. It's very short. It's Introduction to Positive Psychology. If you're new to positive psychology, I highly recommend it. It's only about 3.5 hours, and then there's a very short practice test to give you an idea of whether you absorb some of the more important bits of information that are in it. I wouldn't say that taking just this 3.5 hour course will necessarily be all you need to pass the test for certification, but you will be able to answer more questions if you take this test, particularly if you do well on the practice test. So that's how you can measure that. The next course is coming up next month, which starts tomorrow. And it's Positive Psychology Coaching Basics. And even though it says basics, if you're curious and you've been coaching a while, you may learn some new stuff. I think everybody who's an advanced coach knows that you learn something from practically every training opportunity that you take advantage of. So if you'd love to learn, keep going. There will be more advanced courses down the line, and approximately one per month will be loaded up as the videos become available. And basically that's what it is. It's self-paced, it's pre-recorded videos. If you have questions or comments, you can add them on the platform and I'm happy to respond. And so it's not quite the same as taking live training, but I've taken a lot of recorded trainings and it does work. And as far as whether this would be enough training for a coach, I think that's probably not the right question to ask. I mean, it's a question that I've asked myself a few times, particularly because so many of our coaches have been trained at multiple schools. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And I'm very proud of you all for doing it. I too have gone to multiple schools. I would say that this is definitely, it can be one of your schools. I don't know if it's enough. Like I said, I'm more interested in whether you can pass than where you went to school. If it's enough, that's awesome. But I encourage people to keep getting training. I still train myself and I get excited about new courses, and I hope you do too. So that's the story on free coach training. Oh, and let's see, this first course, 126 people have started it. Only one has finished. So I highly recommend that you keep going. All right, so here are a couple of special interest groups, and Madison's here, so I'm going to mention hers in a moment, and I hope she will speak too. Valerie's not here today. So Valerie suggested to me the Positive Psychology Book Club, and I thought about that, and I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. And I thought, who's going to lead it? And so then I asked Valerie, and she said, oh, I'm really excited. So that was perfect. And I have to say, there is a page on the IAPPC network specifically for the Positive Psychology Book Club, and you can sign up for meetings. They're all on Zoom. And Valerie shares a lot of information. So there are notes from the authors and websites that you can visit. And so she's very generous with that. And yes, I hope you will dive into this, particularly since I've noticed, because of the applications, that it seems like a pretty high percentage of our members don't have a lot of positive psychology background. So the book club might be a way that you can bring yourself up to speed. I know that Valerie is focusing mostly on recent books. So there are some, great classics like Flourish by Martin Seligman or Positivity by Barbara Fredrickson, but they've been out for like over 10 years. And so she's going for some that people may not have read yet. And the first two are by researchers who have really, they've shaken things up in positive psychology, in coaching. The first one, which has already happened, you can certainly read the book and we can talk about it on the page because it's kind of like Facebook. So you can still get into the conversation even though you may have missed the meeting. But the book was The Awakened Brain. I think it came out just last year by Lisa Miller. Lisa Miller she's got some great credentials and she knew a lot of the right people. So her graduate school mentor was Martin Seligman, no less. And so she was able to pursue something that was important to her, but was not accepted by a lot of researchers. And she was able to discover some findings that make the whole idea of spirituality, it's something that scientists are accepting. And I don't know if you've paid attention to that or not, but a pretty high number of researchers are not spiritual people, and they kind of look at people who believe in God as, you know, having an invisible friend or something like that. But they're starting to wake up. So she was able to show that we have genes that make it likely or more likely for us to be very spiritual, that the brain changes for the better because of spirituality, and that there is survival. What's the phrase I'm looking for? There's a survival benefit. We're more likely to survive when we have spirituality in our lives. And so spirituality has been embraced by the positive psychology movement. And this book is very exciting. And if you are a very secular person, that's fine. Nobody's going to try to convert you. In fact, Lisa's book isn't really about God or a particular religion. It was just about spiritual experiences that she had that seemed to guide her in the direction that she needed to go. So great book, highly recommended. And then the next one is 7.5 Lessons on the Brain by Lisa Feldman Barrett. I hope I got her name right. I didn't look it up, and I should have, but for some reason, this is a name that I often get wrong, and I shouldn't, because she's very influential about the brain. So Lisa really, this is a different Lisa now, she really has shaken up some of the beliefs about the brain. And I think if you want to be up to date on your neuroscience, this is an important book to read, and the meeting will be really helpful to you also. So I hope you get involved with the Positive Psychology Book Club. It is on a Monday. It's at 8 a.m. if you're in my time zone. So I'm in Central Time in North America. But if you're in Europe, for instance, this may be a great time for you. And so Valerie was very thoughtful about when she was going to have it so that more people could attend. So there you go. Oh, and then Madison, I hope you'll speak a little bit, but TED Talks was going on before the IAPPC platform happened. And then I just asked Madison, I said, would you be willing to do this as part of IAPPC? And she was like, yeah, that would be awesome. She's meeting once per quarter, and it's like a book club, but it's with TED Talks. And you might think, oh, well, I've seen TED Talks. Do I need to talk about them? You know, sometimes there are really interesting ones, and Madison seems to find them. And she also facilitates with great questions. As it says up there, I've had some amazing insights with some of the ones that I've attended, and you can register on the platform. And Madison, is there anything you want to tell folks that I haven't mentioned?
Well, first of all, Julia, thanks for mentioning that. I've been doing the TED Talks since 2020, every month since 2020, and then just this year we went to quarterly. So I do have a lot of experience. I've looked at a lot of TED Talks, and most of them get rejected. So I'm really serious about finding really great TED Talks that I think will lend themselves to a really robust discussion with really smart people. So all I want to say is there's really smart people there. The discussions never go the way I think they're going to go. They're always amazing, and it's fun. So come on and join us.
Yeah. And Madison is one of our board members also, and she is one of the best coaches I've ever met. She's been at it for a long time, and just getting to talk with Madison without paying loads of money is an honor. It might be a little crass to say that, but
it's probably true.
This is your chance. Don't miss it.
Yeah. No, I really have a fun time with it. That's why I still do it. It will always be free. I made that promise at the very beginning, and I'm holding to it. So yeah, if you want to talk about TED Talks, join us.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And if you,
Julia.
sure,
I got,
thank you.
speaking of coaching, I got a client, I gotta go, but
Okay.
I'll see you later.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Julia.
All right. So then there's this thing called Each One Coach One. And the idea behind this is coaches need coaching. Sometimes coaches have a hard time paying for coaching because coaching can be very expensive. Also, now that coaching wraps around the entire planet, every continent. I hear there are some scientists in Antarctica who are getting coached, but you know the economies in different countries are very different. So what a coach might charge in North America might not be doable in some other parts of the world. So that was one thought behind it, because we do have coaches in our membership from all the continents except maybe Antarctica. Maybe that'll happen. And so I wanted to make coaching affordable for everybody. Also, coaches need to get plenty of practice coaching. And if you're a newish coach and you need more chances to coach, this is another thing that you can do. So it's not for applying for certification, obviously, because you're coaching coaches, but you know, there are services out there who match coaches and coaching clients. My personal experience wasn't very good with that, and I just felt completely mismatched by the people that I was matched with, and didn't enjoy it. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way to do this. And also, I think the coach should get to keep the money because they're doing most of the work. So it's a page on the platform where you can offer your coaching at a discount. So I have a couple of offerings up there, and one of them is a coaching group for people who are applying for certification. So if you want to have your coaching session listened to and get some feedback on it, you can do that. And I'm charging what I would have charged 20 years ago. So I hope that's doable for some people, but there are other coaches there who are making offerings. So you can offer your coaching. You get to keep the money. Please do make it a discount. And if you get coaching for less, please offer your coaching to someone else. So that's the Each One Coach One part. And we don't get involved in the money part. We just have the platform for you. So I hope a lot of people will coach there. One thing that I've noticed about everybody who we've certified for free is that they've all had coaching. And we may make that a requirement at some point. So keep that in mind. All right, so to talk about things that are coming up. So one thing that I've been talking with Dr. Winnie Dunn about, so you heard about her a little bit earlier. She is definitely a rock star in the occupational therapy world, and she has brought coaching into occupational therapy. And that's really changing things. Her research has been, the research that I'm aware of anyway, is research into caregivers of children who need occupational therapy. And she's said to me that the kinds of questions that occupational therapists ask the parents of kids who have disabilities really changed the conversation. So if you're only looking at the child's deficits and what needs to be done about that, it can be really overwhelming for caregivers. But she said, you know, if I just ask a question like, what do you love about this kid? The parents start lighting up. You start finding out about assets that the child has that can change the course of their therapy. And it's kind of life-changing. So Winnie is distinguished professor at Missouri University at Kansas City, and she is putting together a team of fellow researchers to create a research repository for us, which is huge. It's a lot of work. I feel kind of guilty even asking about it, but there's no one I would be more excited about leading it than Winnie. And so, you know, if you need to learn about something, if you haven't studied research methods, if you don't know a lot about statistics, or if you took it in college like I did, but you really don't remember it, it can really help to have a researcher read a research paper, digest it for you, and tell you what the important points are. Otherwise, we can misunderstand the stuff that we read, or we can just get overwhelmed reading it. So the research repository, I hope will be up within 6 months. I know it's a huge amount of work, and I'm just completely honored and excited that this is going to happen. So that's a thing. And then member interviews. This might start as soon as next month. So Sarah, are you here? I know Sarah was registered for this, but I didn't see her earlier. Sarah here? Because if so, I would ask her to speak. Anyway, no, I don't see Sarah here, but she's president of Love for Lily, and she's another coach who has brought coaching to a world where it really didn't exist before. So Winnie's done that with occupational therapy. Sarah had a heartbreaking experience and wanted to change things so that other people who went through what she went through would be more supported. So she and her team go into hospitals in neonatal ICU units, so intensive care units, and they coach the parents who are thrilled to have a baby and terrified about what might happen next. And in some cases, the baby may be in the hospital for months. And so they have a baby, but they don't have a baby, and their lives are in limbo. Boy, can they use coaching, and that's what she does. And I've witnessed some of her coaching, and it's just incredibly empathic and kind of spiritual and really inspiring. And she's an inspiring speaker too. So I wanted her to be the first person that I interviewed for you guys. And we're working on a date in February. So I hope you'll be able to make it. And of course, that will not be the last interview. I've actually already interviewed Winnie at School of Coaching Mastery. Might interview her again, but I can also make that previous video available to you guys because she's amazing. But in any case, I know that some of you are also doing incredible stuff, and I want all of you to know who you're here with. And so there are people who have really accomplished a lot, and then there are people who are really coming up and probably will accomplish a lot of stuff, and I want you to know about them as well. And then it says there member promos. So organizations like coaching organizations, this used to be more pronounced like 10 or 20 years ago. In today's world, so many coaches work for large organizations. So you may not be looking for clients, or you may not be the head of your own business, but there still are a fair number of coaches who run their own businesses, and sometimes coaches fit their target market. So it would be nice to be able to communicate what you have on offer. At the same time, if there's an organization that has other purposes and you go to visit their platform and it's full of promotions and it feels really spammy, that's not good. So we're going to have a space for member promos. So if you have a coaching related service or coaching, doesn't have to be at a discount, you can let people know what it is, and you'll be able to have one promotion at a time on the page. So of course, we don't want one person to just like fill up the whole page with all their promos. So we're going to limit it to one. And it's possible to post one at the top and have it be the top one that people see. I'll figure out what the circumstances are for that. But yeah, so if you do have services, and I know many of you do, be thinking about how you'd like to position that for members, because coaches are also people. They have lives. So like my specialty is post-traumatic growth, which is very much part of positive psychology. I don't know. I think probably most coaches will not need it, but some probably will. And so it's something that making it available for people to know about is worthwhile. Okay, so things that are in the works, but are a little bit further away is the coach directory. So we've got one. It needs to be streamlined and improved and then connected with our website. But it'll be dedicated to positive psychology coaching. And some people are looking specifically for positive psychology coaches. As you probably know, positive psychology as a movement is actually much bigger than coaching. And so positive psychology coaching is something that people are really looking for. I'm certainly biased, but I think coaching is the perfect service for sharing positive psychology, more so than almost any other. But so I hope all our members will post themselves on the directory. Your directory listing will be included in your membership. And yeah, so that's another way. I've had this question on my desk for several months, which is, how can you help them win? And so that's the way I've been thinking about developing IAPPC. So what can help you win at what you want? And then expert interviews. So we're starting with members, but there are authors, speakers, researchers, and coaches that you might like to hear from, and I'd love to hear which ones you're most curious about. I do know that other organizations are also doing this, so we'll want to do it with, I don't know, our own twist, I think, but yeah, so anybody who has written a book recently is going to be interested in being interviewed. And so let's invite some and learn from them directly. And then a podcast. So this I'm seeing probably in about a year to do a podcast well. Takes a fair amount of planning and technical know-how. But if there was ever a topic for podcasts that might be popular, I think the intersection between coaching and positive psychology is certainly one. So I think the podcast should be directed mainly at the general public. So those are the people who might come to the directory and hire a coach. That would be one outcome we'd be looking for. And a few of them might decide to become coaches, so they might become members. But topics for the general public with perhaps some coaching tips that will benefit coaches as well. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I watch or listen to podcasts that are not designed for coaches, but I'll learn something and I'll think, I could use that in my coaching. So that's the idea. And it says we're going to run a contest for best podcast title. Yeah, I would love to know what your thoughts are for a title, because I don't have one. So those are a few things. And these, by the way, aren't everything, but these are the main things. So let me share the poll. And I feel a little sheepish about this poll. I thought, I don't know if these questions are really pertinent. That's why I would love to just hear from you. But if you feel more comfortable responding to a poll, here's a question. what do you most want in your IAPPC membership? So choose one thing, please. Okay, so, okay, I'm going to leave it open a little bit because more people are answering now.
Quick question.
Sure.
When you say live events, do you mean something like this, like live online or live like in person?
That is a
I'm
great
guessing
question.
you mean online, but yeah.
Well, we're already planning things online. I was actually thinking like live in person, maybe not immediately because there's still a pandemic kind of going on, but I don't know. I just I was curious, do people want to get together in person and meet? That might be worth doing. Okay, so almost everybody, I think all but one, okay, everybody now has finished. And can you see the answers here? Because I'm new to Zoom polls. Do I need to
You have
turn this
to
off?
you have to launch and share it.
Okay.
So there's a button for share results.
Okay, so I end it and then I share it. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here's share results.
There you
Yeah.
go. We see it now.
Okay, awesome. So volunteer opportunities came first, and that's exciting. and like, wow, yay. So I'm really curious to know what kind of volunteer stuff you'd like to do. And so now, once I clarified live events as actual live events, that's actually coming in second. So that looked like it was kind of not so popular before. Yeah, Q&A sessions. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of people here, so this may not be a definitive poll, but yeah, I'm real curious, like what kind of volunteer opportunities would you like if you're somebody who put that up there, or even if you didn't? Anyone?
I answer that. I'd love to actually know how I can help out with IAPPC and to actually like see how I can maybe contribute to growing the organization.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody I would more love to have as a volunteer. Celine, you've helped me run this webinar already. So that's fabulous. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey Julia, Sunil here.
Sunil, hi.
I clicked on volunteer as well. I would love to see how we can, how I could contribute towards growing the community in the global space who applies positive psychology coaching and advocates of positive psychology coaching, because we're doing a lot of work in that space here as well.
That's really cool. So are you saying you want to spread the word? That's how what you mean?
Yeah.
Or
So
yes.
one,
Okay.
one of my strengths is to build communities and organize.
Nice. Oh, you're breaking up right now. So, Sunil, you're breaking up on a lot. We can't understand you, or at least I can't.
So I would love to explain this one. I'm sorry, I'm actually traveling down south, 7 hours.
Yeah, no problem. So we will connect.
1 second
Okay.
forward, yeah.
Okay, fabulous. So I will connect with you, Sunil. That sounds fabulous. So a couple other people clicked on volunteer opportunities. Did you have something specific in mind, or?
Hey everyone, this is Renell Parker.
Hey,
I
Renell.
actually clicked on live events, but for volunteer opportunities, one of the things that I'm actually working on is a partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters here in southeastern Missouri in this region. And I actually had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to discuss some of the activity they're doing, particularly in the Black community. So one of the things that we're looking at is identifying partnerships for opportunities to donate coaching hours as volunteer opportunities there for those, I can't think of the term now, but for those that can't, necessarily afford it, or even
Sure.
don't necessarily know what it is,
Yeah.
right? To where, for example, even in the corporate industry, coaching is looked at as a negative term, which is something reactive to something negatively happening. So even just to get out to, from an education perspective, on what is it that will also help grow the organization, what we're doing, get more information out, get more people interested and excited about being a part of it, but also about getting the help that they need if they aren't able to find sources elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a fabulous idea, and I'd love to talk to you about it more. So that would kind of expand the whole concept of volunteer opportunities at IAPPC to coach others who need it and may not even know exactly what it is and what it could do for them. Thanks for that. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share? Do you have an idea about what you'd like to do as a volunteer? And if you don't want to volunteer, that's fine. Not pressuring.
I'll chime in. I definitely take a lot of interest in the sort of occupational therapy side of things, like, and just sort of like that growth. And I think we do have a huge, like, we do so much coaching as a bit of intuitive practice, but I really do like think there's so many of us that could kind of be guided that way. And I really love to do like mentorship or help people who like are maybe students in OT or OTs that are kind of looking to either do a bit of private practice or feel that there's that bigger part of their role, but they don't really know how to navigate coaching and OT almost like separately or together. I really I love to like mentor or support or just help coach people who are kind of like getting to that courage. So I'm really happy to be in a conversation in that realm if it's helpful.
Yeah, I know Winnie is mentoring a number of OT coaches and has mentored a number, and I've trained a few of them myself. So yeah, that might be something that I don't know. I often check in with Winnie about certain things, so that might be something we want to coordinate with her.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe it'd help, like, I'm just like a Canadian arm or something like that, that could maybe help. Yeah, in any way, just being of support. I really love also connecting like that, getting to know our senses and how it's so important to like be in our bodies. Also, I have ADHD, so I like really support a lot of people that identify with like neurodivergence with kind of that healing. So and from the strengths-based side, because there's a long way to go there. And we also have really interesting and fun sensory quirks and needs. Yeah. So yeah, really happy to be helpful in any of those forms. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, that's really interesting, Maria. Yeah, I happen to be neurodivergent myself, and yeah, just means we think a little differently. I'm actually going to stop sharing this in a minute. So, folks clicked on live events, somebody clicked other job board, more training, Q&A sessions. Is there anything anybody wants to say about those?
I chose the Q&A session. There are a lot of times when, well, I'll say the application in various scenarios and situations as you're coaching may come up and there may not be a smooth transition. Or you're stuck. You're not able to figure out which approach to take. So maybe Q&A sessions in that space using positive psychology in various scenarios.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, fascinating. Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else anybody wants to share? And I hope you're not looking at a blank screen right now because I've taken away.
We are.
We are. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
I wanted to add to that last idea. I do love the idea of building a professional network of people that you can actually talk to about the real world behind the world that we work in. I've, from my experience, some coaches when you're in the same world can be kind of competitive, and it's not as like free and willing and giving, and it's more of sort of like a competitive nature when we're kind of in the same thing. And so I would love a space where we can all be there to support each other for the sake of supporting the profession and creating some really strong standards around it. I myself struggle like hearing, even calling myself a coach when I hear other people that have like, I'm a coach and I took a 1 week certification and it was $50. And I'm like, so I feel like there's this level of professionalism that really I'm missing in the coaching space. And I'd love to have some sort of network or shared resource discussions, whatever it is, that it can help build that, because I don't want to have to cringe when I say coach because of everything else going on in the world. So if we can build some sort of professionalism around this profession, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why you've probably heard me say this. I started gravitating towards positive psychology. It was just when I started coaching, people who know me know I studied with Thomas Leonard. He did a brilliant job. It wasn't particularly science-based, but he got things started in a very ethical way and started helping coaching become a profession. Then he passed away. And then after a few years, it was like disgusting stuff was happening all the time. And I thought, yeah, we've really got to rein this in somehow. And I think positive psychology is a big part of that. So yeah, I think that we can build that together, Stephanie. Some of the things that are happening, like the research repository and other initiatives, can help us to figure out exactly what this is and where are the guidelines. I know the ICF has worked really hard at developing that, and I respect the ICF. My personal opinion is at this point they've gone too far. They're putting people in my opinion, kind of a echo chamber, because you have to get ICF training and you have to coach with an ICF coach, and so I think that we need to pay attention to the research and figure this out together.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
a chance to start over.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think the science-based is really what drew me into positive psychology and the ethics behind your coaching and training. But yeah, I mean, beyond like coaches, I feel like externally coaching needs to be more sexy and cool. And like, there's this like negative thing behind it that's like, oh, you have a coach, and or like, oh, coaching is like woo woo and fluffy. And so just like, there can be so much more, because once you know, and then you're hooked. And so how do we just echo that?
How do we hook them?
How do we hook it, but in a way that's not forced, right? I work with a lot of engineers and analytical thinking people, and like leadership consulting and coaching is so fluffy to them. And then I have so many lawyers that are like, holy shit, like I had no idea that this could be so beneficial. And like, oh my goodness, like now how do I do this more? And so it's like, how do you get from like to like, yeah, like let's keep going.
Yeah, you know, Stephanie, I got certified as an inside out coach when I was at Boeing. I worked with a lot of executives and VPs, and one of our tasks was to how do we reshape the ideology of what coaching means. Right. And the corporate sector is such a reactatory term, and which is viewed as very negative. So we were really working on shifting the mindset of what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a coach, and how there's a coach in all of us, right? So we have to empower. How do you empower the workforce, be it your peers, be it subordinates, leaders, what have you? So it's really reshifting how we think, right? For example, we complete two tasks simultaneously, we'll say kill two birds with one stone. Well, we begin to say feed two birds with one piece of bread. Now you're speaking life, prosperity, and progression into it. So that's what we try to do with our leaders, is really shape their mindset and sort of reprogram, but by interjecting more positivity and optimism into how they think. But it's definitely a challenge, because this is how we've always done it, right? And that is one of the biggest issues that we run into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Great points. I love what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, Julia, if there's a space on the platform to create like monthly or quarterly, just coaches coming together to talk about topics, I would be interested and happy in hosting that.
Okay, fantastic. I would love that also. Go ahead,
This is
Jackie.
exactly what I'm talking about, how we're getting together, having these conversations, sharing ideas and stories, that Q&A session. This is exactly what I was talking about.
All right. Yeah. Well, I love it because back when I became a coach, there was this joke that we were all lone rangers, like we were just people who worked on our little thing by ourselves. I am actually pretty much wired like that, so I can just sit in my office and pound on my laptop, and that's nice. But talking with you guys right now is so much more exciting, and I love your ideas, and and the organization needs everybody. I certainly can't figure it all out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're out of time. I'm willing to keep talking. I know someone had their hand up, but they're gone now. So unfortunately I missed them. But was it Catherine? Catherine, it looks like she's still here.
Hi, it was
Oh,
me. I'm
yes.
sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
and I do have a 5 o'clock, but I was just going to reiterate a lot of what was already said.
Mhm.
And I love what Stephanie brought up. I love that you're looking forward to have these sessions, because we do learn from each other.
Yeah.
And we are a profession. I used to be a project manager, and I'm old enough to remember when project managers were just out there before we were certified, and before, those certification happened to make us not bottleneck us. Like I agree, ICF is doing some of that kind of a bottleneck to me. That's what it is. But I mean, people could call themselves a project manager, and there was really no foundation. And so things get shaky when there's no foundation. And so things like this, like IAPPC, and I do need to research the platform more, but it gives us a foundation to build on, because this is a profession. And most of us were coaching before we even became coaches. It's just intrinsic to us. And so I just kind of wanted to reiterate what was already said. That's all. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. And Gika, I just want to give you a shout out. You've been quiet. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you.
Thanks. It's nice to be here, and I apologize for coming in late.
No problem.
I was in the middle of something and didn't see the reminder. It's good to see your face.
Yeah,
and hear your
absolutely.
voice.
Yeah. Great. Glad you're here. Cool. So I don't want to keep people too long, but I just want to send you all a virtual hug. I'm so glad you've been here. And Stephanie, I'm waving at your daughter, yeah, but I don't know her name. So
Actually, my son.
Oh,
has
sorry.
Beautiful hair.
Yes, he does.
His name is Talon.
Hi, Talon. Great to see you. Hi. Cool. All right. I think we're going to go. But just thank you so much. And I look forward to talking with you more. And Erica, I just want to give you a wave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. And we will meet
Bye.
again soon.
Yeah,
Take
thank you.
care.
Thank you. Bye.
Also,
Bye.
make it a great day. Thank you.
You as
Bye.
well. Bye.
Bye-bye.